Hello again. I don't suppose for a moment that anybody watching this really believes that Keir Starmer's famous one in, one out idea would ever really get off the ground. But the failure to deport the Eritrean who was due to be flown to France today is not the worst aspect of this failure. I'll explain that in a moment. As I'm sure we all know, the government has been promising for months that any minute now they will actually be sending an illegal immigrant who arrived here after crossing the English Channel in a small boat back to France. Nothing has come of it all, and nor is anything likely to happen in the foreseeable future. One man was actually sitting in an Air France plane the other day, waiting to be deported, but then had to be taken off the plane due to a last-minute legal challenge. I'm sure we can all remember the fiasco of the Rwanda plan as well. If nothing else, this is all generating quite a bit of highly paid work for human rights lawyers. Yesterday morning, it was said that the first person to be deported would really be flown to France today, but the High Court stepped in and intervened on various grounds. Of course they did. I'm sure this was no surprise to any of us. However, what few people know is that the flight today, which has been cancelled, was linked to one scheduled to take off from France on Saturday, which would deliver to us an asylum seeker who has played the game in France and is being rewarded with an air ticket to our country, rather than having to make that uncomfortable journey by a small boat across the channel. As we know, the whole enterprise is called the one in, one out plan, for the simple reason that as soon as we return one illegal immigrant to France, they'll send us another. So this was never about actually reducing the number of asylum seekers crossing the channel. But with the High Court's action, Britain is now unable to keep up her end of the bargain. That is to say, sending an immigrant back to France. There is, however, much debate about whether this means that the French will now cancel their part of the deal by not sending us the asylum seeker who they got lined up and are willing to trade for one we send back. The rumour is that France might well go ahead and send this person here as planned on Saturday, even though we have not yet been able to deport anybody ourselves. If this happens, then it will mean that the only result of the whole business will be not to reduce the number of asylum seekers heading here from France, and not even to keep it balanced, as in, one out. In fact, it would mean that we increased the number of asylum seekers coming here from France. It would mean that the only practical consequence of the new scheme would be that the arrival of somebody from France who would not otherwise have come here. Of course, France may cancel that flight, but they have no incentive to do so. My guess is that it will go ahead. I am inclined to doubt that we will ever send anybody back to France, which cannot help but increase support for reform, which has set out a plan for both stopping illegal immigration and also deporting those with no right to be in our country.